What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Ranger Central, and today we are going to talk about news that came out this morning in Arthur Staple article. As you can tell, I'm just a bit tired right now, but there was in the article that the New York Rangers apparently inquired to the Anaheim Ducks about Frank Vatrano during the All-Star break, which I'm a little shocked because of the fact that I did not think that they were going to. I thought Vatrano was a pipe dream. I thought he was a pipe dream, but now it's maybe realistic. I still don't know if Anaheim's going to be willing to give him up without. It's going to have to be a big haul. That's the main part here that we can't get twisted. It is going to cost a lot to get Frank Vatrano back, and I'd assume that they're going to want Adam Henrique in the package, which is also what Arthur Staple is suggesting in the article, that maybe they pursue Adam Henrique in a package deal, which if that's the case, that's going to be a lot of assets. But we're going to break it down, talk about both players, even though we're familiar with one of them. But before we do, leave a like on the video if you do enjoy, subscribe if you guys are new, especially if you're Ranger fans, and turn on your notifications so you know when I upload or go live on the channel. But let's talk about it. So the exact wording of it in the screenshot that I saw is that Anaheim Ducks center Adam Henrique is next in line to be moved, and that the Rangers are in need of a center, obviously, with Phil Petel's sideline for the rest of the season, and they are interested in Adam Henrique. The Ducks also have a familiar face who might interest the Rangers. Frank Vatrano just participated in his first NHL All-Star game and leads the Ducks with 22 goals. Word around All-Star Weekend was that the Rangers had inquired about Vatrano, and who served them well 2 seasons ago as a deadline rental. Well, yeah, I know you know what to that one, because they should have just brought the guy back, and it just made no sense. It still doesn't make sense to this day why they're paying Barclay Goodrow 3.6 and why they did not keep Frank Vatrano at all. But regardless, that's neither here nor there. They are interested in both, which is a very good sign, because they desperately need players like this. Frank Vatrano, we know his type of game, and you could just hear, even in his pressers and everything, how bad he wants to be a Ranger again. He always is talking about how much he loved New York and he appreciated his time here. He was recently talking about in an interview with just at the All-Star game, someone was asking him who he thinks the most underrated player in the league is, and he said Mika Zibanejad. I may not agree with that, but he said that's Mika Zibanejad, and that does say something. And in 50 games played, like I said, 22 goals, 14 assists on the year. He has 36 points. He's a minus 13, but that's going to happen when you play for a garbage organization like the Anaheim Ducks, and he's getting a lot of ice time there, so that's going to take a dip, but the point should even itself out, and hopefully he could get the 5v5 offense going again, which you could expect it, because in those 22 games played with the Rangers, he had 13 points, 8 goals, 5 assists. We know he's kind of a streaky player, so he could end up disappearing at points, but he was nothing but consistent with the New York Rangers and just very stellar, obviously, in those 22 games played. And then come playoff time, he really turned it up, especially towards that Carolina series. And then in Tampa Bay, we know how game 6 went. He scored the goal, and then we're not going to talk about what happened after that. But regardless, you look at the evolving hockey metrics too, and it just tells you that he is the type of player they need with the way that he just provides offense. He's in the 77th percentile in offense according to the evolving hockey model. He's in the 20th percentile for defense, so that's not ideal, but you take the trade-off considering how good the offense is. You take that type of trade-off, and you know the player. Like I said, you're familiar with the player, so the trade-off's worth it. His goals above replacement is going to help this team go a long way, and it helps on both the both even strength and on the power play, because power play 2 desperately needs help too. His defense isn't even that bad considering the fact that he's on a terrible Anaheim Ducks team, and we've seen him put in the effort back checking before. Like, if you go to his 2021-22 season chart, he's in the 65th percentile in defense, played for Florida and the Rangers that year, so you could expect the defensive metrics to even itself out a bit in terms of that, and you could probably see him jump up a little bit more. He's probably not going to be as high as like the 50th percentile by the end of the year. He'd have to be like a Selke level defensive forward at that point, but you could still see some improvement, which, you know, it's at least improvement, and we know that he back checks. We've seen it happen here, but he's the type of guy they need, and he also could be a little bit of a pain to play against. So that would help. And then, of course, Adam Henrique, who I've talked about ad nauseum, who I am not in favor of. But if they do get him in a package with Frank Vatrano, I am very much okay with bringing in Adam Henrique as the third line center, because at the end of the day, you're probably going to give up less assets than you would just to get Adam Henrique alone in a weird way. I know that probably doesn't make sense, but if they were to get both, I'd imagine it's going to be a package including Capo Caco. That's probably going to go the other way, and I know Ranger fans won't want to hear it, but that's probably going to be the case. It's going to probably be a guaranteed first-round pick, and it's probably going to be a mid-level prospect and a lower-end draft pick, like a fourth-round pick or something like that. So in hindsight, though, you're giving up less than what it would be to get these two players individually, because you have to think Frank Vatrano will probably fetch like a first-round pick plus a prospect alone, just because he has the extra year on his deal as well, which is also why I'm in favor of getting Vatrano, because you fill a need for next year too, and it will improve your top six going forward. And then with Adam Henrique, you have to figure he's going to cost like at least a second in a prospect, so it's pretty much kind of balancing itself out in a way, because Capo Caco too is bringing up the value in that deal. But regardless, with Adam Henrique, he's a positive face-off guy. I mean, that's really one of the things that you could pinpoint in terms of the good attributes of Adam Henrique's game. In 49 games played, he has 33 points, 15 goals, 18 assists. That on paper sounds very good for a guy that's going to play third-line center. The problem is that he's not playing third-line center in Anaheim. He's averaging about 17 minutes of ice time, as a matter of fact. So that's going to take a dip, his point production, especially playing on a third line that really is not... We know that it doesn't have good pieces. And the thing that scares me, too, is that Blake Wheeler, then you'd have to assume, is moving down to the third line, and then he's going to play with Will Cooley. Neither of those guys really put up points. As long as he's playing responsible defense, he'd take the trade-off, but I don't know. Like, I just get worried in terms of the point production being too much of a regression there coming here, and he does score goals in bunches. That's my other concern, is that he is a very streaky player, and I had Devil fans in the chat the other day. I think it was MSG Vault. Shout out to you, because you're always active in the chat and you're a respectful Devils fan. He was saying that he's very inconsistent and streaky, and he scores in bunches when he does score, and I believe it, because the game logs back it up, and just my own eyeballs back it up, where he's scoring a hat trick against the Devils and then 2 goals against the Rangers. So 5 of his 15 goals right there just come in 2 games. So I don't know, like, to me, it's a little bit alarming, but at least most of it is at even strength. That is something that you could take as a positive. So at least he will help even strength offense-wise. But again, going to play third-line center. His defensive metrics are not that great, but again, he's in Anaheim, so it's probably going to tank that way. And just looking at last year's, it was even worse, considering the fact that Anaheim was just really bad. You go back to 2021-22, though, he's in the 54th percentile on defense. You go back to 2020-2021, though, he's in the 9th percentile. So you might get a little bit of a wild card there with what you're getting on defense, but I think he will be fine as long as he's playing a lesser role, where he's gonna be forced more to be responsible defensively, and he's gonna be playing on a better team, because let's face it, the Anaheim Ducks have just been a dumpster fire for the past few years now. But yeah, I don't know. Like, it's kind of a bold move too. Because giving up Capo Caco potentially and a first round pick is definitely very risky. But this is the type of deal you do it in. Not to go out and get Sean Monahan, not to go out and get Elias Lindholm. You don't do it in those type of deals. If you're giving up both of them, it would make sense to do it in this type of deal where you're filling 2 needs in one, where that's where it makes sense to give up a first, Caco, and then the additional prospect and the additional pick. Who cares? Like, if they become something in Anaheim, good for them, but clearly the Rangers don't see something then. And I don't know what that prospect would be. I don't know if it's going to be Robertson, Jones, or because it would probably be a lesser prospect, or if it's going to be a guy like Carl Henrickson, who's kind of just tailing off more and more. Bobby Trevino, who's already 25 years old. Who knows what it will be? Who cares what it will be? All I know is that this is the type of deal you give up a first and Caco for, because you get a guy that's going to fill the top 6 this year and next year, and then you get a very solid third line center, which, again, I may not be in favor of, but you're getting both. You're getting both, so I, for one, cannot complain. But let me know your thoughts on this potential trade package idea in the comment section down below. I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say, and I'm still a little caught off guard here. This dropped at like 7 in the morning. I was not waking up, or I was not up at 7 in the morning, and I was not going to roll out of bed even if I was to make this video. But regardless, I'm still very interested to see what happens here with that front. But yeah, that's really all I got. If you did enjoy the video, leave a like on it. Subscribe if you guys are new, especially if you're Ranger fans. Turn on your notifications so you know when I upload or go live. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Let's go, Rangers.